Welcome back to the Belt Off Podcast. All right, another Friday, another podcast, lots of fun topics. Michael is stuffy. He thinks it's allergies.
Definitely. Yeah, if I sniffle, I'm not sick.
Me neither. We have our coffees today. Last one I didn't have time to get them. All right. So let's start on this as I pull this up. Rolling when you know you're going to lose. So
Rolling. It happens.
here's the scenario. So like I'll go personal with this. I never win against you, right? But you also don't let me just exclusively play defense. You always want me to try to get back to a top position, get to somewhere where I can actually mount some offense, and that's where my effort and everything comes in. Because before I had the mindset of like, all right, if I know I can't win, I'm just gonna kind of shell up as much as possible. Yeah, and what you say is try to make it 0-0. So, okay, of course you've lost. If you lose your points and everything, that's one thing, try to get them back. But try to make it 0-0.
I mean, try to make it 0-0 is like, it's not necessarily all, like what I do, because I roll with guys that could beat me. Okay, you just make it, you change the rules of the game. Now, obviously, the trying to make it 0-0 part is your goal for, that's your ultimate goal, like catching up to the person wise.
Right.
It's like if you're running a race and they're that far ahead of you, your goal isn't to be the same distance ahead of them. Your goal is to catch up to them, right? So the making it 0-0 part is kind of like a longer term goal. In that role itself, I mean, I change the rules. If I'm rolling with a guy who whoops on me, okay, I tell myself, how bad did he whoop me last time? Okay, if I can only get subbed 3 times in this round, I won in my heart. Right? And maybe they're wondering why I'm happy after you only subbed me 3 times. Because I won, bro. You only subbed me 3 times. Last time you got me 5. Right? Or whatever. Like little stuff like that. Right? Accomplishing a little goal is how you give yourself, credit. How you stay happy with the role. But yeah, man, it happens. You have plenty of roles where you're like, all right, I'm not gonna beat this guy. But yeah, change the game, change the rules in your mind.
Make it a little bit better each time. Try to accomplish something.
Yeah, tell yourself you don't want this guy to pass your guard, right? I mean, if you can not pass, if I force him to do one of those leg locks and catch me on that, the way I see it is, he couldn't pass my guard. That's good for me, right, or whatever. Or only passes my guard a few times, or whatever. Or just like, if I can recover my guard, right? If I recover guard on him, awesome. Something like that.
I've been trying to just get you to guard. Get a full guard on you.
I don't like that when people get me in full guard. I don't like that.
At all. Oh, man.
I stand
tough.
No, man, I don't want anybody to give me a full guard. If somebody gets a full guard on me, then that means they mounted me as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
They might as well get 4 points for that because it's the same. It's an upside down mount. I don't like getting stuck in full guards at all.
You always got a knee in. You always got something wedged in between us.
Of course, man, stand up. Like if I feel like it's coming close, I'm popping up to my feet and make you have to do like a De La Riva or something. I'm much more confident in passing De La Rivas than I am a full close guard.
We did a whole hour of sparring today, a little bit extra and stuff. It was, it's funny when you get those where you're going to spend that much time. It's like, all right, pace yourself a little bit more instead of just blasting through, because then you're done in 15 minutes and everybody's having their way with you.
Right.
I had pretty good rolls in. I was able to get a couple things that I've been working on. I really like even if I can't get the full Tomonagi and get the flip, I've been able to get feet off the ground and then yank right into full guard. That's been working really well. Even with the bigger guys, it's all like I try to get a full throw going, and then they'll get right at that lever where they're starting to go, and then they'll like hunker back down. But then, the full guard. And working off the full guard.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled guard on every single person, but I didn't get a single takedown. Didn't want one. I wanted to pull guard. I always pull guard in jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I'm always pulling guard, man. I used to wrestle more with the gi on and stuff, but not anymore. Now I want to pull, and I want to pull first. If you pull first on me, I'm kind of bummed. Right? Absolutely.
You got a... Oh, maybe that's it. We got a little fuzz. Hold on, guys.
That looks funny.
A little fuzzy. That's probably better. Yeah. You got a wrestling competition coming up?
You know, I was gonna have a wrestling competition coming up, right? I was, and I would do it if finances were better. They're just not, man. And Joshua is at the age where he's got tournaments all the time. So basically, last year at this time, he didn't do Reno Worlds. There's a tournament called Reno Worlds for kids, and it's a giant tournament in Reno, and he wasn't ready for it last year. This year he's ready for it. So it doesn't make financial sense for me to go to Reno Worlds and then 3 weeks later do my own little vacation in Vegas, right? To go wrestle. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Vegas is
I gotta be responsible fiscally.
That's cool though. He's what grade now?
Josh is in 8th grade, going into 9th next year. Yeah,
Nice.
it's cool. He's excited. He's a little undersized for high school wrestling. The smallest weight class is 105 or 106 or something like that, and he's not near that. He's over 10 pounds lighter than that, like 92 or something. So he's kind of focusing on lifting weights and drinking protein shakes and stuff like that, and then just honing in those skills.
Right.
Yeah, he's getting better. He's getting really, really good. He is.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sean Strickland is in the UFC video game, and they gave him very low stats.
Oh, did they? He's a champ, man. He's like a former champ, right?
Sean Strickland, he blamed it on the wokeness that is inside the video game industry.
Oh, he's all pissed about it.
Yeah, it is a thing.
Wokeness, huh? He blames it on the wokeness
There's
that made him have low stats.
Because it's programmers, right? They get to decide.
They get to decide, huh? Yeah, I mean, I figure it's a board of people that are deciding stuff like that. But
The
hey,
entire,
man.
we can go into it a little bit, but the entire video game industry is extremely left leaning.
Okay, and so he thinks they don't like him because he's right leaning.
Right.
Maybe.
And we're not going to go into politics and stuff on that, but that is very known that media in the video game industry definitely leans.
I actually never considered the video game industry itself to be left leaning. It's kind of funny to even it's funny to even try to think of what way they lean because it's video games.
Right. No, there's definitely a culture.
Okay.
And you can see it in some of the games. It's like, oh, I see what you're doing there.
Huh. Interesting. So does a guy like Masvidal also have low?
I don't know.
Or Colby Covington? Does he have low numbers?
That would be interesting.
Because those are way more right, like openly right than
right, yeah.
than Strickland.
With all of Donald Trump's appearances at the UFC, they need to give him a special spot like they did Joe Rogan. Make him a character. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I love it. He's been there a lot, and he gets good reactions from the crowd, man. He does.
Could you imagine if they actually put Biden and Trump in the video game and you could because there's already people streaming.
You could fight with them as fighters. Yeah. Hilarious.
There's already people that stream the UFC and all these things and make all the memes and everything. If you could actually have just matches.
Hey man, pick random people for the video game. I mean, I don't play video games ever. I never have. But I don't see why you can't. Yeah. Why not be able to pick random famous people?
They had Joe Rogan in one of them. I think it was UFC 3. They made
Joe Rogan a fighter?
Yeah.
Cool, man.
They just put him in. It was like a downloadable thing or something.
Okay.
Something extra. Yeah.
Yeah, they should have that. It would make it very cool, and then you can see what their stats are.
Yeah.
They would. If they're left leaning, they would make Trump an absolute just a cupcake.
It'd be like. Oh man, that'd be hilarious. Biden comes out looking like
Biden's
a
just
Hulk.
a monster.
And then you get the
Oh my gosh. Then you know for sure how left leaning they are.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. UFC settlement. So they were looking to try to form a union and do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Weren't able to accomplish that. They settled for $335 million. That'll go to 1,200 fighters. So that's equivalent to $179,000 per fighter.
There you go. Mark Hunt is stoked. I know Mark Hunt is big on that. I follow him on social media, and he's been wanting to sue the UFC for money for a long time.
So it's cool. That's a pretty big settlement. If they have to pay out some lawyer fees or something, I think Brennan Schaub was saying that they might have done it pro bono.
Oh, cool, man.
That would make it a full $179,000 per fighter.
Good for them. The UFC makes plenty of money.
Yeah.
and they're notoriously underpay their fighters.
Yeah.
So there you go.
They pay something like 12 to 17%, something in there, to the talent, and you look at like the NBA and stuff, it's close to 50%.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So,
Well, you know, you wouldn't have nothing without that talent,
right.
without those talented guys. So they should make more money. Good for them.
And then, I don't know how legitimate this was. This was a meme that I saw. It said Helio Gracie didn't approve of black belts that had dreadlocks, head tattoos, or get this one. This is going to exclude 80% of the U.S. population were overweight.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, honestly, like the old school Brazilian guys, I mean, people talk about how bad the racism is in America. Go to Brazil. They're gnarly racist. And I mean, not like everybody nowadays. Maybe they're catching on, right? But I know those old school guys, Helio guy. I wouldn't be surprised, man. Not surprised at all.
There was always, and I don't know how legitimate this was, but when competitions and stuff first got really big in the United States, there was always talk about Brazilian judge or refs.
Bias.
Very biased.
Super biased, man. Heck yeah.
So many stories based
Oh
on
man, I mean, sometimes it's not even hidden, right? Yeah, absolutely. Still are, man. I mean, they take care of their own, for sure, no doubt about it. But as far as like that, like, what are you gonna? Guy has a head tattoo, you're not gonna sign him up to your gym? I mean,
it looked like it was exclusively for black belts.
Okay, he doesn't want to give a black belt, but still, man, that's as stupid as Eddie Bravo saying you have to smoke weed to get a black belt.
Right.
Right? It's like, what are you talking about, man? It makes no sense at all.
Leave some comments, guys. Let's know your thoughts. If you have any questions, we'll definitely get to those. We're going through our topics today. The ultimate self-defense, right here.
Right there.
Being bald. Don't
Right
give
there.
them something. And I saw a couple people talk about, they were posting pictures that they were bald, yet they had a giant handle right
Oh, a big old beard?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that beard is a catch-22 then with fighting, because it does make you get harder to knock out. A beard,
I've
makes
always
you...
thought about this. Now,
Yeah,
my beard
I read an
definitely
article
not.
about that.
My beard
Not
definitely
that
not.
little thing, no.
But if they got a big puffy
Absolutely.
one, it's a little bit of a cushion.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, what was the article about? I think it was about like old school like Vikings, how they all had a big beard or something, and it was because they were warriors, and it was harder to knock them out cold, make them unconscious if they had that big beard. I believe it makes sense.
The puffy ones, and then because all you're looking for is just distribution in impact, right? And so if it can take a little bit of a pin and spread it out a little bit, it could be that change.
But yeah, that would be a handle. That would be a handle in a fight, man. Somebody gets a grip on that beard. Oof, gosh, that would hurt too.
Marcus was saying that he's seen that same article.
Okay, yeah, man. I think it's legit. I mean, it makes sense.
Brian Ellis says, dude, you want to make me tap? Pull my beard.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's rough
would
because you're going
imagine.
for cross collar chokes and you're getting some beard in there, and same thing with like girls who have hair. It's like you're trying not to grab it, but it's also like
You can't avoid it.
it's there. Right?
Yeah,
those
it's
little
there.
hairs in the back get stuck in. And,
Absolutely. No, that's funny because I really care about not doing stuff like that to people.
I take extra time to
Yeah,
try to feed
me
it.
too.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be that guy that does it, and it's so hilarious because we're sitting here trying to strangle each other. Right? My goal is to
Like,
strangle you,
is
but
your
I
hair
just
out?
don't want to pull your hair. But you know, I think a lot of jiu-jitsu are like that, man.
Yeah.
We care a lot about not. We want you to tap,
Right.
but we want you to tap for a very specific reason, not because of that.
Any handles, right? So many street fights you see, they take off their shirt. They're like, I don't want you to grab onto nothing.
Right. No, it makes sense, man. That's why we started Nogi season in our kids' classes the other day. And I was telling the kids, like, because a lot of them never done Nogi, right? We get some new kids that signed up in the last 6 months and they never did our last Nogi season. So I'm telling them, like, okay, guys, there's a lot of rules, you know, with Nogi, because you can't grab the rash guard, you can't grab the shorts, and I even said, I go, which is silly because it's silly for people to call Nogi more realistic, right? And now I get that people aren't wearing a gi everywhere they go, but they're wearing something, and you can grab it in a real fight. If somebody's attacking you and you're in a real scrap, heck yeah, you can grab their shirt, right? Heck yeah, you can grab whatever. Okay, so to say that no gi is more realistic because people don't walk around with a bathrobe on, is like, it's silly to me. There's rules. There's more rules in no gi than there is in gi, so,
No, there's more rules in no gi than there is in gi. I like that. That one is a true statement. This argument has been made forever.
I'll never understand it, man.
My conclusion on this is ego. They get tapped out more in the gi than they do in no gi, and they don't like it.
Probably.
That is my final decision
I wouldn't be
on
surprised.
this, and that's what I'm gonna say.
Now, if you're a young athletic wrestler dude or something, like, it's frustrating being in a gi because I'll grab it and it's going to be tougher for you to move, right? It slows the match down. But yeah, as far as grabbing it, you should be, like, if you're training for self-defense only, if you train for one reason and one reason only, that's I want to be able to protect myself, train with a gi, dude.
Yeah.
Teach yourself that it's okay to grab whatever they got. Wrap that Hanes beefy tee around their neck twice. I mean, you're allowed to in a real fight. My goodness, yeah.
This was a conversation that we kind of had before. Will you award belts for exclusively no gi?
Yeah, I have, and I will continue to. It's a sport. It's a martial art.
I had a guy ask me, because he's in college, and so he's a younger guy, and he pretty much just does the no gi. He's like, so if I want to get my blue belt, do I have to do gi? And I said, well, not necessarily, but think about it this way: you're gonna have to be so good at no gi that if you put on a gi, it wouldn't matter. You would still hold that blue belt.
Yeah.
And that was my explanation to him.
The same rule goes if they're in the gi, they gotta be good.
Yeah, exactly. If I remove the gi or put the gi on, you should be able to hold your blue belt.
Yeah, man.
And so a blue belt is a blue belt to me, and separating the arts, if you exclusively train one, okay, fine, but still, you should be able to hold your blue belt, whether it's gi or no gi.
Yeah. I think no gi is important to do. I think you should do no gi. I think every technique you learn in no gi can be done no matter what. If they're naked, if they're wearing a clown suit, doesn't matter. You can do all your no gi techniques. They still have a wrist to grab, all that stuff. And that does not hold true for the gi. Bow and arrow chokes, no gi? No, you're not going to do it. Cross collar choke? Right? So but I think they're both really, really important. But I will always stand firm on the gi is more realistic because people wear clothes.
You do a wrist grab where you fold out
I
the
sure
arm.
do.
And that works so well in gi also because it makes it so that they can't grab your gi, but it also makes it so they can't grab you.
Absolutely, man. I grab those 4 fingers because they can't grab my gi.
So even though it's in gi, you're grabbing the hand rather than the gi itself.
Yes.
And so there's certain times that those apply direct.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always grabbing hands. I hunt for guys on bottom digging an underhook and half guard or something. I'll reach back and grab the 4 fingers of that underhook, put it on the mat, work my Aikido Morai. I've always called it because that always reminds me of like Aikido.
Yeah.
The hand manipulation. So yeah.
We only had one kid in our early teens. He's 12 last night, and so we just did a rolling match for like the hour. It was a lot of fun and stuff. But towards the end of it, we were just playing, and I was getting him into, I think it's called a quarter Nelson, where you get the overhook, hook the head, and flip him under.
Quarter Nelson, reach under the arm, hand on the neck.
Yeah. And I was doing it with one hand. He's smaller than me and all that. So I was making it look like I was Steven Seagal going, wah. He's just going all over the place. It was funny. But there are little things that you can do.
You help.
Yeah.
Are we bothering? Sorry. Oh, okay. I'm gonna come in.
Okay.
Business is booming.
All right. Hopefully new people. All right. But yeah, there's what was I saying? Hand grips.
Yep. Tossing around a kid.
Oh yeah,
Quarter
tossing
Nelson.
around. Those are fun. There's certain things that will work when there's a giant skill discrepancy or a size discrepancy, because there was things that I can just stand out of. He doesn't know how to break the posture and the frame.
I mean, yeah, the margin for error when you're way bigger than somebody or way better than
But
them.
it was fun. It was funny and fun. It's fun to roll like that sometimes. All right, we got a few coming in here. All right. Oh, we got a few. All right. It's super hard with girls. Happens with my daughter all the time. Grabbing hair.
The hair, yeah, absolutely, man. And we know because we clean the mats afterwards. Clumps of hair, right? You get a few
Like
ladies in the class,
tumbleweeds.
yeah. Get a few ladies in the class, or get like some long hair guys in the class, and you better vacuum when you're done, man.
I'm always scoping out hoodies when people get aggressive.
Oh, hoodies! Can you imagine, man? That's my dream for somebody in a hoodie to attack me,
Always wearing a hoodie.
bro. That's
I don't have the strings though.
bow and arrow for days, man. I'd wrap that hoodie right into my grip. Oh gosh,
Have you heard
satisfying.
why Joe Rogan doesn't wear a tie?
Well, I could imagine the
Yeah,
reason.
he's like-
Cinches it up to a
He's
zip
like,
tie.
I'm not giving somebody a noose.
Yeah, right, right. I
I'm
mean,
not having a
I'll
tie.
just clip on, bro. They go to noose me and it pops off like, ha, gotcha.
Brian Ellis says, me and my son roll in pants and pullovers often.
There you go. Yeah, we used to, for a brief time, we had a street clothes class. And you just wear your street clothes. And the idea was to prove that we could do a lot of our gi techniques with the clothes on. Right? Now it didn't last long because the truth of the matter is if you're in a scenario where you're wearing pants and a shirt, then there's probably punches involved too. So that class turned into an MMA class real quick. Real quick. You know?
That's funny.
It's true.
Yeah, just the grab and bah. How often do you see that in street fights? And that's the thing, is the self-defense. If you got something that they can grab, they can swing you by it. And that's usually the hair. And man,
Gosh.
with the hair, everyone wants to back away as soon as their hair gets grabbed. And then they've broken their own posture. And then it's just,
I mean, back away, that would hurt. Why would you? I'd go into
their
it.
butt goes back and their head goes down.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's so common. But what
in like
you're saying,
in like self-defense situation. Oh man.
but what you're saying is correct. Get under them, scoop them. Yeah.
Go towards it, man.
Make them pay for it. That's a hand that they no longer have use over if you're close. Right?
Right.
That's not doing anything if you're in
Right,
close. It's
right.
just a hand that's been removed from the scenario. Kind of like Hoyt was saying that in the early UFCs he wanted people to grab his gi because that was a hand that wouldn't be punching him.
Okay. And I was thinking that also in the early UFCs you were allowed to grab hair. You were. You were allowed to grab hair, man.
Did anyone do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's some clips of guys grabbing the hair. For sure, it's nuts, man. Headbutts.
I
I think
remember
Mark
the
Coleman would
headbutt
be in the guard holding hair and headbutting.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Better be ready.
Anthony says, I started with the gi at Henzo's, New York City, and it was way harder.
Yeah, if you're not used to grabbing it or getting grabbed,
Right.
If you're not used to getting grabbed, yeah, it slows you down big time. I always tell people that if you want to shoot in, like if you want a double leg wearing the gi, you better do it before they grab you, man, because that's a wrestler's kryptonite. Grabbing the gi and then just locking out your stiff arms, right? Like kind of like you'd be stalling in a judo match or something, something like that. You can't shoot in on that.
Kids do it all the time. You see it with the 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds all the time. They'll grab on and they'll be trying to get close, but their
Lock-
own hands are
lock
locked
the arms out,
Yeah.
right.
And then both of them are locked
No,
out.
you better have a good shot from distance, right? When I wrestled, I actually had a decent distance shot, right? Where I was basically just out of reach and I closed the distance really quickly. That was my favorite double leg. So it translated to the gi really well. And good thing too, because yeah, once they grab you,
Brian Ellis says you got to do both.
of course, do both, man.
I'm looking to open the first nudist jiu-jitsu school. Interesting.
There you go.
Open it in a nudist colony and you'll have better success. Just a little location,
Yeah.
location. Marcus says, yeah, I grab over the thumb, same principle. Yeah, you stick the thumb in the web and then roll it.
You know, grab 4
Oh,
fingers.
you just grab?
I mean, I do a lot different,
Yeah.
different ones, man. I'll grab 4 fingers. In fact, a lot of times it's like this because they're reaching up here. Like for an underhook, I'll reach in my back pocket, right? Grab it, grab that thing, put it on the mat. And also like that's the very end of the lever. This is a lever right here, right? And that's the far end of the lever. That's where you want to grab a lever, the farthest end. That's where you're the strongest.
You can get a little more length with more some side control and that sort of thing also. Also, one of the ones that I really like is when you're in that clamp guard off to the side and you're trying to shoot the triangle. So you frame it out on the bicep, and if you hold the wrist, you get decent extension on it to get the leg through. But if you grab the wrist, you get an extra 2-3 inches.
Or you mean the hand?
Yeah, the hand.
No,
you get an extra
absolutely,
2-3
for sure.
to get that foot through. We were actually looking at that last night. And sugar hold. What's the sugar hold?
Sugar hold. Well, is this the nudist colony guy?
Yeah.
Talking about sugar hold? I don't know. That could be anything.
It's not. Marcus says sugar hold. You're gonna have to explain that.
Sugar hold. Oh, maybe that's what he's calling the grab in the hands. Maybe.
And Shahid Lakbal, get the out of here. No marketing. I'm gonna block you right now.
No marketing.
These guys.
No marketing is a good stuff. What's he selling?
Just manufactured bullshit.
Oh, hello, sir. I want
It's-
to manufacture your geese, right?
It's
I get those.
exactly it's so many.
Yeah.
Or you get the fake elite. I don't know what it is about them. I tried doing business with them before. I got a hold of like one of their actual sales reps and made an order and everything. They didn't send anything for like months. It was such a nightmare. But also, there's so many scammers that use that elite affiliate.
Really?
I get probably 4 or 5 a week
I believe it.
on my Facebook. It's crazy. So don't ever buy from one of those pop-up things. The only affiliate that we use is the Hayabusa. I love their gear. It's fantastic stuff. So if you see anything other than Hayabusa, it's not me. Yeah.
I like Breakneck Ground. Breakneck Ground is amazing geese, man. Amazing. Like I feel like there's Shoyu Roll, Control, Breakneck Ground is like the top quality you can get.
Yeah. With the Hayabusa geese are nice, but they're mostly a kickboxing brand. Hayabusa, yeah. Like I'll only wear their gloves. There's pairs over there. Those are mine. I got multiple sets. And then like the shin pads don't move around and stuff. And there's just little details that they've added to it, the wrist support and everything that
Nice.
I don't want to turn this into a commercial, but fantastic stuff. Where were we going? Yeah, grab over the,
Sugar hold, is he explaining it?
yes, sugar hold like a half Nelson.
Oh, like from behind, or because the quarter Nelson he was talking about is from the front, right?
Yeah. So we go here, here,
Oh
and
yeah,
roll the head
nasty.
under.
Yeah, that's a front quarter. I taught my son that for his freestyle and Greco matches.
It's
and
so effective.
Absolutely owns kids with it. Yeah, it's a great one.
For my size and everything, I really like, and even like Top Turtle, places like that, just to roll them through.
I never heard it called sugar hold though.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, opposite than that, basically. So he's saying opposite from that.
Opposite from
Maybe from the back?
front quarter with half Nelson.
I'm assuming from the back and then grab the head.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, there's a lot of different
You'll have to
Nelsons.
send it
They
to
got
us.
half
Take a
Nelson,
look.
quarter Nelson, full Nelson, an eighth of a Nelson.
Nelson made his name known.
Right.
When you weave your arm behind the head and grab the armpit.
Oh, I know what
reverse.
he's talking about. Maybe. I think it's like when you're like here, grabbing like that possibly.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good grip.
I'm
man.
always looking for that fly or the back trap. Yep.
That's a good
Armpits.
grip, man. Yeah.
Yep. Insane for setting up triangles. Is what he's saying. Yeah, he said that was it. Yep. Michael's got that wrestling experience. I don't. I wish I did.
It's always cool to hear them different names though.
Well, you know,
Now I'm gonna call it that. Sure.
well, there's so many names because you have like the historic names because all these moves have been around forever. And then with jiu-jitsu, you have all the Japanese names for them all.
Right.
And then you have all the Eddie Bravos.
Well, plus like
and
that
then
one,
you
the
have
sugar hold, that
all the catch wrestling.
there's a lot of people, like myself included, like if you roll a lot, right, you'll discover, not invent, but you'll discover techniques, right? And when you just like for example, nobody ever taught me a flower sweep, right? I started doing it thinking I made it up, and I called it something, the bass check sweep or something, right? And yeah, somebody then told me, no, that's called a flower sweep. Okay, whatever. I thought I invented it, but then it occurred to me, you don't invent techniques, you discover them. They're like dinosaur bones, right? They're there right now. You got to dig them up.
Every now and then somebody will post like an ancient book, like an ancient judo book or an ancient whatever book from like way back, and it'll have a lot of these similar moves and
Right. I remember seeing a picture of a guy in the military grappling doing, and it was like from like the 50s or 60s doing a twister, right? And it was going around because Eddie Bravo didn't invent the twister, right? Twister is just a technique that he'd probably discovered on his own, named it the twister, right? So yeah, that's where you come up with these crazy names, as a person basically discovers it themselves and it's like, well, I'm gonna name it.
Yeah. O'Malley, so Cheetah Vera is saying that O'Malley greased. He said his hair was so greasy that when he got sweaty.
Hey man, he might have, man. So check it out. Greasing in MMA is very, very common. Okay, well, I did 2 MMA fights. I did 1 amateur one and I did 1 professional one, right? And the guys that cornered me for my amateur fight, they didn't know I was a grappler. Okay, 'cause they were only used to cornering strikers. So without even thinking about it, backstage, they were gonna grease me. And like he looked at the head coach guy and goes, so we'll get the grease out, and he was gonna put it on me, and the guy goes, no, he's a grappler. And they're like, oh, okay, never mind.
The other guy's got grease on him too.
You know, so it's like, it's very, very common. And a lot of the time what they'll do is they'll put like heavy lotion on that morning after the shower. So if you're dry, you can't really tell.
Right.
Once you sweat, it comes out. And there's like oil, you can put like some like tanning oil even on you or something like that. And it doesn't come out till you sweat, right? So if you check them before the fight, they're fine. Okay, and once you break the sweat, it starts coming out.
I had posted that question. I wonder if they check them after, because that would be when to check. But how do you, I believe everybody's sweat has a different viscosity to it also. So
I'm sure some people are more slippery by nature than others. That wouldn't surprise me.
Because over time, we have one kid. He's like 17, and he's always slipperier than most people.
Well, he might be a kid who lotions after a shower.
Right.
Right.
And he's like, no, I don't. But who knows?
Well, because he doesn't grease intentionally. Like a lot of people, when they get out of the shower, after they dry off, they put lotion on.
Yeah.
A lot of people, it's very common. And you would, and then later on that day, if you go to do jujitsu and somebody says, "Do you grease?" Of course you're gonna say no.
No, we
of
asked,
course not.
do you use lotion? What do you use? Because he's always.
Oh, he claimed nothing ever.
Nothing ever.
Hey, like you said, man, different viscosity. It's a big word.
Ooh, slipperiness. All right. Over the top for that one. Yep. Really interesting pod last week. 2 cool guests to have. Learned a lot. Yes.
Oh yes, Maggie.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
All the police stuff was cool. His perspective.
Oh yeah. I like Smaggy.
That was
known him for a while.
Yeah, he's a purple belt. How long has he been training?
Oh gosh, how long has Smaggy been training? Probably 6 years or so, something like that.
I think that's what he said.
And then just years of wrestling. The guy who wrestled way back, high school, junior high school. So good grappler, man, solid. He's as all the LEOs should be.
Brian Ortega teaches Max Holloway how to block mid-fight. Did you see that clip?
Yeah, I did.
No,
it was vice versa. Max Holloway taught Brian Ortega how to block mid-fight.
Oh, that's what I wrote it backwards on the board. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Max Holloway taught Brian Ortega how to block.
Max is awesome.
How humiliating is that, though? And I don't think Max intended it to be that way, intended the humiliation factor, but come on. Somebody stops punching you in the face and goes, take this hand, put it here.
Wow, I guess so.
I
mean, Max is great. He's a showman.
Yeah.
During his fights, I love it. Very entertaining.
Right before we got on, and any more questions, we're going to tell one more thing. If there's any more questions, we'll read those out. But right before we got here, you saw an article, and it was a gym said that they couldn't post about their...
Yeah, it was a gym where they were trying to dictate what the person posts on social media, and the guy ended up leaving that gym, going to a different one because he said they're a little too controlling. And man, I don't know if it's the gym itself. It was a big franchise one. I don't know if it was that or if it was the guy who's running it, right? Because I've had experiences with big franchise gyms where, you know, the guy who was running it was the problem, not the franchise itself, right? And then, you know, but apparently this one came down from the headquarters, from the top. So who knows? Maybe it is to controlling though, man. Like I could not imagine doing that. Even if I thought it was like some ridiculous post, I wouldn't. You do your own thing, dude.
They're literally trying to step on the Constitution with that one, like
Right.
freedom of speech.
Freedom of everything. Like,
Freedom
just,
of
no,
everything.
Just no. You do what you want, man.
How I don't understand how that starts. Where somebody's like, I have control over what you say about anything, like what you post, what you say, what you do.
I think it just starts with it starts out with like a, you know, my home, my rules, kind of a mentality, right? If you're in my house, I'm gonna make the rules. And if you just say it like that, well, you'd be like, oh, well, that makes sense, you know, of course. But
Inside
you can
the
take
house.
it too far,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, of course, inside the house. But you know, a lot of these people say, you know, if you're representing my flag, when you leave here, you're still in my house, right? So okay, that's a little too much there, buddy. Yeah.
Just it's strange. Overstepping coaches is definitely a thing. If you follow McDojo Life, you'll see so much culty stuff. It's crazy.
I mean, I've been grappling so long, I've gotten to experience it, right? I've gotten to experience the coach that way oversteps his bounds. And to me, it's about the individual, because when I realized what was happening, okay, I bounced, right? You get people that stay, and it's like they got their own issues staying with somebody that's that controlling, man. I mean, yeah, man, you can leave. Ain't nobody forcing you to be anywhere. Leave.
It blows my mind that places are like that and so many people follow me. You see the fake chi masters and stuff doing no-touch knockouts, and everybody's standing around and accepting all of this. And that's an extreme, right? So don't get me wrong, that is an extreme.
That's hilarious though. You're right. Like to see those people in the background. Sometimes I'll watch one of those videos where the guy's like teaching some BS, and I'll just look at the people in the background, just stare at them. I just want to see what they look like. It's like, look at you, man. How are you believing this? Oh my gosh.
So if somebody's willing to stay through that, like, they're gonna definitely stay through, hey, don't post on social media.
Oh yeah.
And then the next thing is, hey, you need to say this about us. And then, you know, it's just a cascading effect.
It's silly.
So,
You're just allowing them to control you, because I mean, if they want to be that controlling, like to me, they should just have no students, because everybody should have left.
Yeah.
So if you do stay with them, it's like,
no, I
that's
agree.
on you.
Yeah.
It's on you, man.
Nobody's
Leave.
forcing you to be there.
Yeah.
But there's so many people that'll just fall in line, or the lost cost fallacy. So a lot of those no-touch things, McDojo Life was explaining it, that they typically don't start with that. They'll get you 5,
Yeah.
6, 7 years in of like legit martial arts.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, all right, you reach black belt, come over here.
I will
Let's,
show you
or
the
we're
secrets."
about to get you to black belt, come over here. And then in order to stay with the lineage, you have to like follow that stuff too. So
You don't
I've
have to do
heard-
nothing, man.
I've heard Scientology kind of uses that same principle
Sounds very Scientology-ish.
of where they actually bring in people and they give them counseling and they improve people's lives.
Uh-huh.
And then they're like, and we also do this. But this also does this.
Bounce.
Yeah. Brian says, I called one of my old professors with Gracie Baja, couldn't hear him very well, and I said, Professor. Then said his first name because he didn't hear me, and he yelled, you call me Professor.
I was like, geez,
Yeah.
chill, bro. Yeah, for
No,
real.
that's the thing.
He's like, I did call you Professor, relax. Yeah, no, man, it is what it is, man. You know, people can, like I said, they can attempt to control, attempt to, you know, snap on you like that, but you bounce, bro. I'm sure this guy probably left.
Yeah. What
Probably left.
I wish I would have found your gym sooner, because we have a lot of the same principles. When I left certain places, I saw things that I wasn't a fan of that go through some of the jiu-jitsu like culture that just isn't necessary, and it's not productive to training, it's not productive to relationships, and it's purely an ego thing. And I just scrubbed all that, and I did find your place. One of the things that made me like be like, all right, this is definitely the spot, is you don't have any like hard structure things like that. Call me coach, call me Michael, call me, you know.
Face the wall when you tie your belt.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
Don't roll or don't ask higher belts to roll.
Right.
Just so many things that are stigmas in. I've told this story before, but I was like 2 months in. There was a giant purple belt. Smashed the crap out of me because I asked him to roll. He was the only one
How
that
dare
didn't.
you.
He was the only one who didn't have a partner for the roll.
That made sense.
Uh,
I was just doing the math, bro. Like, it's me and you left.
And I was injured for like 6 weeks after that with like rib issues because he was going knee on belly, dropping elbows, knee on belly, dropping elbows. I didn't know what the heck was happening, and yeah, I found out from somebody else later on of don't
not
ask
supposed to
higher
ask them
belts.
to roll.
I was like, come on, like,
Yeah,
is it
that's-
written anywhere? Did anyone? Is there an orientation on any of this? No, you
Is there an orientation? Yeah, for real, man.
no. There's a couple that.
I mean, to me, just read my body language.
Right.
If I'm laid out on the mat like exhausted just because I got smashed by somebody, and don't walk up to me, can I roll? You want to roll now? It's like, bro, you are not fluent in the language of the body.
There are some things that are required, like wear your shoes to the bathroom, right? No shoes on the mat, but those are sanitary
Right.
things.
Man.
Not
I don't have any rules like that, and there's some of them I don't mind. I don't mind the bowing when you go on the mat and stuff because it's, respect.
I just make it
whatnot.
optional. If you feel comfortable doing
Well,
it,
you don't have to make it optional. It's just optional.
Right,
Sorry.
right.
I mean,
No,
if somebody
that's
bows,
exactly
if
it.
somebody bows, I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, we don't do that around here, bro." It's just what it is. Like, they can call me professor. People call me professor. I don't correct them. It's like, do what you want. Everything's optional.
Right.
The only thing that's not optional is like skipping roles and stuff. Like, if we're sparring, if it's comp class, that's when I'll yell at people. Let's go. What are you doing? Yeah, it's because I'm coaching them.
Marcus says, I didn't realize it could be as good as it is until I found. Whoa, that just skipped. Until I found my new gym. You don't know what you don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
I did this. Oh, yeah, no, and the reason that I left the gyms that I was at before wasn't, and I'm glad that I did, but the reason that I left wasn't because of, I didn't leave because of an issue with the gym or whatever. I left because the coach left. I left because the team left. I left because of reasons that were outside of that control. But I'm glad.
Yeah, I've never left because of the gym.
Yeah, I'm glad that I actually found you guys and stuff. And obviously, I've been there for years now.
There's a whole the crayon. What do they call it? A crayon or something when you leave a gym and you're not loyal to a gym. Like, I think that's what this crayons or something. That's silly, man. Because I've left a few gyms, right? And I'm the first gym I left because I mentioned on here I was trying to quit drinking, and alcohol was such a part of my routine of training at that gym that I felt like I needed to, right? That was one reason. And then a culty dude made me leave another gym, right? Not the gym, not the name of the gym itself. No, it was just a culty kind of dude that was like pulled me into his office and said, "Hey, man, where are you training at?" Because I cross trained in my buddy's garage, and he gave me a hard time. I was like, "What are you talking about? This is silly," right? So yeah, you leave because of incidences or personal stuff, but man, I've never left because of the name of the franchise of the gym or whatever. I mean, no.
Brian says, I did a super smooth flying triangle on a purple belt as a white belt back in the day, and he got up after tapping and manhandled me. My first experience being enforced.
Well, he might have just realized he had to step it up. He's like, this white, because he might have been like at a certain pace with the white belt, and the guy hits a freaking flying triangle on you. You're like, okay, I better be on my A game against this kid,
And that's the thing too, is because a lot of times when you're rolling, especially with a purple belt to a white belt, they're playing at a lower pace and just playing.
Sometimes.
And if you feel that white belt is going competition mode, well, that
I'm
purple
gonna go a little harder.
Yeah.
For sure, I'm not gonna get my ass whooped by a white belt just because I don't want to, hurt. Like, I'm gonna go, man. But yeah, maybe this guy's actually pissed that how dare you try?
But
How dare you try hard against me?
But there are enforcers like that.
Oh yeah. You need enforcers though. Because some people need to get their ass whooped for So like if I see somebody like rolling with my wife all hard, dropping something down, or another female student or something, I'm gonna roll with them next. I'm gonna fuck him up, right? Like, honestly, you don't do that.
Yeah.
There's certain things you don't do. You know what I mean? But in general. I'm not, you break one of those silly rules. You don't tie your belt facing the wall. I'm not going to go roll with you next and beat you up or something.
Brian says, now I'm a purple belt and completely understand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. If you didn't catch my armbar series, it's a steal at $999. I can't believe people thought that.
I
one
can't
was real.
believe it, bro.
It was-
I told him there's no way.
It was
and there's
fuzzy.
no way anybody believed that was actually real.
It was
there
fuzzy.
was.
It was on a grappling dummy. Like, everything screamed amateur hour on that.
Well, when the guy said, "Who gave you your brown belt?" I had to respond. I did, bro. What are you gonna do? Come on, the joke is way over your head there, bud.
I got like,
Jeez.
it was probably 100 comments of like, most amazing armbar series ever. Totally worth it. Take my
Everybody
money.
got the joke except for a handful of.
I made a video with all the praises to it.
That's
and
hilarious,
It made it
man.
even that much better because here's just like god awful technique and everyone raving about how good it became a thread.
Oh,
And
that's
one
funny.
of them. And they just kept going back and forth on like how great it was. It's like it changed my life. I did this after this. It was
So good.
like one of those Dos Equis commercials. All right, guys. With that, that concludes another Belt Talk podcast on this Friday.
Highly recommend. Marcus highly recommends the arm bars.
We will see you next week.
That's good.